Canku brand C-02 folding knife with hawkbill blade in 440C, so they say over here. Got this off Amazon for 27 bucks, and this thing has sent me on a little bit of a roller coaster. TLDR version of the story is that I do not recommend that anyone purchase this or anything from this brand, actually. Not because of any issues with the design or quality of this knife, both of which I find to be very, very, very good. Excellent, in fact, for the price. $27 US. Reason I got this was mostly the handle. That's what attracted me to it at first, and when I looked at pictures of it, it looked like it was built pretty decently. It's got the so-called natural G10 look, but it's a little bit nicer than most of the natural G10 stuff that I see. That's typically more like this, more in the more on the yellow end of things, yellow to greenish end. This just has more blue in it. It's closer to cyan, and it has a little bit of oil that they applied in the production process that makes it not have any ashiness to it, so it just looks nicely finished. Fit and finish of this overall is very good, again, especially for the price. There's just a little bit of flex if you really put some pressure on it in the pivot there. It's not too bad. This is not spring assisted. It has nice action to it, nice mechanism, locks very smoothly. I mean, that works out well. It's actually, if anything, a little bit soft on the closed position lock, because I can just flick it open. It does require a little bit of a trick to do that. You can't just go this way. You have to get some of the weight going down, but it's not too bad. It's not something where I worry about the safety of it, but you know, different people will think different things about that, have different preferences. I love the sound of it. It just sounds like a good quality knife. It feels like a good quality knife. There's a good amount of steel here. You know, it's fairly thick, and I did go ahead and test this in advance of doing this video. I did some whittling with it. I did a little bit of chopping with it, cleaned it up, and you can barely see anything. I mean, I'm not showing it to you up close, but you know, at a microscopic level. But this came from the factory, very, very usably sharp, and it is still sharp enough. This is the area where I was using it most, where I was giving it most of its hits. It's still sharp enough on both sides. There's a little bit of a burr that's facing up this way. I can feel it's a little bit sharper as I pull down here, but I mean, I cannot tell where there's been any damage to this. So whatever the metal is, I've seen it listed some places as 9CR18MOV, just a Chinese mix. From what I've seen in the blade fan community, it's a pretty good stuff, and from what I've tested here, it feels like it's working pretty well. Overall, the design of this is pretty good. There's only one thing that I dislike about the fit and finish, and that is that the liners appear to have been just shaped with a single CNC operation going around the edge, which left the inside edges, probably the outside edges as well, but those are covered, but the inside edges are a little bit sharp, a little bit too sharp for comfort for me. I do feel that if I had a lot of pressure on this without any gloves on and then it slipped like this, it's sharp enough that I worry it would actually cut into my skin. And if I put enough pressure on it, I worry that it could even draw blood. So that is definitely a bad thing. Easy to fix with a file set because of the design of this thing. It's so open. Just a small file set will let you get in there and just, you know, round that off just a tiny bit, even without taking the thing apart. Definitely not an excuse. Nobody should be expected to take a file to something to make it more comfortable or comfortable enough to use hard. But still, it's not a huge issue to me. Not huge enough to say that you shouldn't buy this. What is huge enough, though, for me to say that you shouldn't buy this is that I looked around to try to find out who this Canku brand is. I mean, I know it's just some random, you know, made in China, possibly designed in China thing, but you know, I wanted to learn something about them, see if there's any bad news about them, and I didn't find any bad news about them other than just random people saying, oh, it's from China, therefore it's garbage, you know, which is not reliable feedback. But I did another search, just a last minute thing, just before starting recording this video. That's where the roller coaster ended for me, because I had a recommendation come up for me, again on Amazon actually, when I was going back to the product page, for Grow. A lot of people in the blade fan community know about Grow. Grow makes this exact same knife, and I'm pretty sure that they're coming from the same factory and they just slap different titles on them. Sold at the same price with the same specs and everything. So I'm guessing, or it seems very apparent, that this is actually an Grow, or whoever makes, whatever is the actual name of the company that makes those. And the bad thing about that is that they are an actual clone company, not the ethical gray area kind of clone company, but these guys went out and made the one that really hurt me the most, personally offended me personally the most, was they did and continue to do a CKF Decepticon 1 clone, full-on clone. They sell for about the same price as this, and it's just a direct rip-off, and I cannot support that. If I had known before I bought this that this was the same company, the same manufacturer as Grow, I definitely would not have purchased it. I do not support that kind of cloners. There are some situations where, inspiration can be taken. There are definitely a lot of moral gray areas. Some people think that cloning is not such a bad thing. I do, personally. I choose to support original designers and believe in the basic capitalist theory of people being paid for their own hard work, and all that they've done to create something. So I personally don't know of or don't recognize this design. I don't see this as being a ripoff itself, but the company that makes it definitely does direct ripoffs, and therefore I cannot support them, and I feel ashamed for accidentally having supported them with my purchase of this. I still think that this is done pretty well. I think that people who get knives, whether they know that they're ripoffs or not, from this brand are not going to kill themselves accidentally due to poor quality. I think they actually do fairly good quality work, but just from an ethical perspective, I can't support them. That said, I now find myself in a difficult situation, not knowing what to do with this knife here. Hey, if anybody has any suggestions on what I should do with this, let me know. I am very, very open to literally throwing it into the garbage. It's basically as counterfeit material, or material from a counterfeiter. But I suppose I could give it to someone. The wrong has already been done by me. I've already paid for it, so the money is already going into the pockets of these folks that I don't want. I can't return it now. At least it would be unethical for me to return it, given that I have opened the package and I have used it. There's no flaw with it or anything. But yeah, if you have any ideas for what I should do with this at this point, let me know. But I'm not going to keep it in my collection, and if I don't hear any better ideas, I'm unfortunately going to discard this, which is a real shame. It's a decent tool, but I just can't support this. Maybe I'll find somebody to give it to who wants it, but I will let them know in advance what it's all about. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Hope that this was interesting to you, and hope some of you have some feedback for me. Thanks.